Deleted Station, July 17, 1978. Now, there are no accidents. You form your own reality or you do not. So let us look at your newspaper story. First of all, a few necessary preliminaries with which you are acquainted. In a manner of speaking, your conscious mind, as you think of it, is a psychological convention. In that regard, your society, your civilization, your way of looking at reality, all of these at that level also represent highly conventionalized behavior and learned responses. You organize experience in certain highly racialized patterns. Your conscious mind perceives these clearly. While you pretend that this official version is all that exists, your conscious mind, generally speaking, interprets reality according to your private beliefs and the laws of your civilization, as long as the civilization maintains certain beliefs. Then events must be perceived in a complementary fashion. For example, when you believe that the universe itself is meaningless and the accidental result of chance, then of course you must also believe in automobile accidents and all kinds of chance encounters with fate. While you believe that death represents the end of personal consciousness, then that must indeed seem the ultimate tragedy or surrender. While you believe in conventional ideas of cause and effect and can discover none in a particular instance, then that event can certainly appear meaningless, perhaps cruel, and certainly the result of an accidental behavior in which all good intent has vanished. In larger terms, much larger terms, all events are creative. Physical life is a fantastic event in which all kinds of preferences, feelings, beliefs, desires, and experiences are possible, within, of course, the physical level. I mentioned before that some people in dangerous sports, living quite purposefully on the edge of death and choosing to taste life spite exotically by the ever-present sprinkling of ashes. Others might say that such behavior is neurotic, but in larger terms, such a phrase is meaningless. In the same way, however, some people do live their lives so that its light is experienced in contrast to that in a different fashion, so that the rest of the year's experiences are seasoned by that earlier taste of death. In the case of your newspaper story, the same kinds of events happened several times in various ways to all of the people involved. At unconscious levels, the results were known, and the seeming accident was a planned event, a play ready to happen when all parties involved found the circumstances apt. The father had other difficulties. He did not want to die of a long illness. He felt trapped. He wanted to leave his wife, and yet could not bring himself to do so. The older woman also wanted a quick death. The wife, however, also unconsciously aware of the events, would therefore share in them. The children were also obviously involved, and the accident would give them a new lease on life, for they had sensed an overall pervading sense of despair that lay at the family's center stone, so to speak. Relatively speaking, they had become spiritually listless. In their own ways, they felt that perhaps life had no meaning. Brought so close to death, their own youthful strength rose, and while the tragedy will haunt them, still they will wonder that they were spared, and therefore seek for the meaning of their existence. In a way, they will feel special, saved from the clutches of death. In perhaps a manner that appears strange, they will experience a new sense of their own validity, for if they were saved from death, then something, if only the fates, must have found them worthy. This does not mean that they will not feel guilty also at their good fortune. But it does not mean that their lives will for them have a special brilliance and a contrast, in whose light they will experience all the other events of their years. The victim car, or rather its inhabitants, and the driver of the killer car had alike reached out into probabilities, seeking circumstances that would in fact occur. The children were not to be killed, for example, and in some near encounters in the past, their deaths would have been involved. The father in many ways wanted to save face, so that his death should indeed appear accidental, and the result of someone else's fault beside his own. He did not want to live into an old age, but more than that, life had lost its flavor for him. He had sired his children, loved as well as he could, done his job. But there was no contemplative life to look forward to, no greater love than the one with his wife, and that love, while conventionally sound enough, did not content him. He was looking for someone like the young boy, someone whose actions would result in his death, but in a death without malice, a death that would in its way serve an important purpose. For the accident saved the young man's life, and this was our father's final gift to the world. The boy was inclined toward suicide. He would not have taken anyone with him. He wanted to die, but also in an indirect fashion, in that he could not consciously shoot himself, while he could kill himself in an event that seemed to be accidental. The boy was filled with guilt, but a guilt that had no name, no label. A psychological guilt that was the result of his upbringing, and that perhaps involved the existence of a brother he felt inferior to a sometimes terrifying degree. He had nearly killed himself before in the same fashion, and also when not drinking. The accident gives him a specific event upon which to lay his guilt, but coming so close to death, his own instincts for life were rearoused, so that he is literally given a second chance. Now all of those motives and feelings were well known to the participants. This does not mean that they arose often to the conventional conscious mind, yet even then, they were fairly frequent enough thoughts. For example, what will happen if I hit another car when I am driving? Or how can I get out of this predicament? On the father's part, while still saving face, how can I die without becoming ill, which I abhor, or without having my death labeled a suicide before my children? The conventional conscious mind pretends, and pretends well. It pretends that accidents are possible, that death is an end, and it tries to ignore all of the great phrase of feeling and intent that do not fit into that picture. It is a game of hide and seek, for emotionally all of the participants in that accident were aware of the approaching event, and at the last moment it could have been avoided. There is nothing in man's nature that makes such behavior essential. A true realistic exploration of the nature of experience would automatically study that kind of emotional interrelationship. But while your society delineates the inner particles of matter, it avoids the inner psychological particles that form the most intimate experiences of your lives. It is a good accident that you read the article. Take your break. Ra said thank you. She said, a small point I wanted to mention. We have used Monday evenings for a certain kind of healing process, which is why sometimes no sessions are held then. Apropos of your remarks, you should do your work, as you used the term. First of all, because you both want to do it. As you know, in a fashion, you are appealing to portions of people's minds that exist beneath the conventionalized version of consciousness that they take for granted. The words are perceived consciously, but the concepts run directly counter to many usual beliefs, not just scientific ones, but to the beliefs that underlie the accepted establishment of the world. The books reach people in many fields of endeavor, and they strike a strong chord. They begin to play new notes of consciousness that change reality to whatever degree from the inside out. Our work, in those terms, may have turned into a career, but not a career that you can equate with others. You are writing new rules. You are not good lawyers or physicians or whatever. You purposefully, while speaking to your times, speak to those beyond your times and to the future. Instead of children, you send ideas into the future. You both decided and insisted upon adding this timelessness to your lives. You avoided other routes that might allow you to fit into the times in an easier fashion. For those very routes would tie your imagination and ideas to the times, however invisibly. There are many new affiliations that will be developing in the future, new fields of endeavor. It is far more important that psychology understands our work, for example, than that your current physicists do. I want to give a fairly thorough session Wednesday on your current circumstances and Rupert's condition, so I will do that then. I would suggest, however, that you again begin to do the library together for a few moments each day. I will discuss your attitudes Wednesday jointly and make the points that will be beneficial currently. Your discussion at break was beneficial, for both of you expressed feelings and fears. Fears should not be concentrated upon or anger, but they should be expressed. Not enough attention has been given by Rupert to his feelings in his daily records. I will go into all that, however, and for now will merely state that the improvements are continuing and that his trust in them is paramount. I will discuss all of that in detail. Your dream contest idea is excellent. I bid you a fond good evening, unless you have questions. Ralph said, "No, I guess not. Thank you."